Thank you, Andy. Moving on to the results update.
Wow, we go from that to results. Okay.
Straight into it.
Well timed. So the business is doing a lot better. Obviously, there's been a lot of investment over the many years, but this is after probably our first year of profit, which is exciting. So that's a fair big swing from last year. So about 2.6 mil to call it about 2 mil profit. So that's a contribution of everyone really, and everyone's team and but it also shows us growing and maturing as a business. So that's something to be really proud of. So we're going to think what drove it. So there's a lot more ability to respond to tickets. So I think we had a much sort of stronger GP bench, which really helped. A lot of the work getting done. So the nurse-assisted telehealth, we're able to bill a lot of those consults because we had GPs. So that allowed us to work was already being performed. Our nurse costs were sort of stuck on budget with sort of residents to nurse ratios. So that was that helped. And then also there was some revenue leakage. So work you do, but you don't necessarily or can't bill for it or recover it for it. So all those things helped. And the other good news is that growth is returning. So we've added, Brendan will talk more on that, but around close to 300 residents and sort of 4 new homes in the last 3 months. So a few really good things. And our GP turnover is also very high retention of GPs. So that sort of stability of service and continuity of service has really helped. So a lot of things to be proud of. We do have to remember that our investors have contributed about over 30 mil, close to 35 mil, so in that range, over the years to try and invest into sort of piloting a new model of care. So $2 million might look a lot, but our investors just got to remember that they've also put in money as well. So we've got to try and honour and respect that as well. And that allows us to sort of invest going to next year with a bit more confidence, sort of invest into a lot of initiatives, etc., as well, that'll help us grow and scale. So what's really good is when care and finances work together. And in our business, one of the areas that have made a big difference in the numbers is that us locum sort of phone consults get paid a lot less than teleconsults. And you also can't bill a nurse with it. So plus it's better care. So we want, as far as possible, to have GPs or nurse-assisted specialists. That's our goal. And at times we will do phone calls, and phone calls are needed at certain events. I think 4% of our consults that happen on the weekend with phone calls. So they do have a place. But you can see we've really improved our care outcomes, which is also aligned with financial outcomes. So those two things are working together. So it's been a really good improvement from 16% to 10% of specialist phone consults. So something to be proud of. We'll go to the next one. And the other one is care, when care and financial metrics work together. So in our business, we are looking for alternate funding and pathways and grants, etc., for our nurses. But at the moment, the majority of the funding comes from when they attend a specialist consult. So surprisingly, not when they're with the GP. So I know that might be news for some of the nurses. I spoke to 1 or 2 of the NRNs about that, but unfortunately, we don't actually get paid by Medicare, despite how valuable it is when they're with the GP. So having that ability of not cancelling rounds as far as possible, or having a GP, a supervisory GP, all those things are really important to help us bill for the work we're really doing. We've had a much higher sort of yield or ability to bill on that work. So close to 96% of specialist consults get billed. So great way when care and finances work together, and that's what we try and do in our sort of funding and care model. We'll go to the next one. And this has really been the focus of the last 6 months. Some of it was some of systems in the early phase, and then sort of moved towards implementation. So one of the questions we asked ourselves with was we're doing the work, so not trying to sort of build new consults or anything, just the work we're already doing, where we're losing money in not being able to collect it. And it's challenging for us because we don't always deal with the resident, or we're dealing with the family, dealing with the home, and then you got direct debits and you got Medicare and lots of worksheets and data. We're doing like 20,000 consults or billable consults a month. So there's lots of areas where it could leak. And so that's one of the questions we put to ourselves was how do we create 5% extra profit or revenue just through doing little things better was really the question and challenge. So, and that's been a combination of CST and billing and finance all working together to achieve that. Let's go to the next one. And yeah, it was sort of a good way to approach change. So looking at the systems, looking at the processes, looking at the people, and then sort of mapping it out and doing little pilots. So that's how we sort of approached it and getting the team aligned. Freshdesk, some of you heard about it. It's sort of the TOMS ticketing system of the customer world and the billing world. And yeah, I think we're proud to say that we've probably achieved that now, which is great. So it's just about now keeping it sort of locked in to keep delivering. So a big thanks to all the team and individuals on that to really make that possible. Yeah, and so these are some of the metrics that we have. So our failed direct debits. So we do the work, we can't collect the funds. So that's reduced from around 2.3 to 1.2%. So that's great. Unbilled revenue. So it could be from a doctor not being properly registered. It could be from a doctor leaving and their provider number closes and we're unable to bill it. It could be from a Medicare card rejecting. So there's a lot of different causes that go into that. And that's gone from about 2% to about 0.5%. We use a third-party external billing agency. We've renegotiated the rates on that. That's sort of from 3% to 1.75%. And then another big change is customers in limbo. So they don't really know if they filled in a form, or they're a bulk bill or self-funded. So we've reduced that from over 10% to around 3.5% at any point in time. So we now have a much more timely and accurate view on which pathway our customer's going to go down, or our resident's going to go down. So all those things have helped. And the other really good thing is that our debtors, our backlog, so consults that we hold back, and these are consults which usually cause bill shock. So I'm sure the nurses and people on the field would realise that the more you hold back, as soon as the keys turn, it all gets launched on the person at once, and that's never a good experience. So that's also reduced a lot. So I think all those things have really helped the business, helped the customer, hopefully helps the people on the field. We've still got a long way to go. Still got other initiatives and things we can do around quicker onboarding, less back billing, etc. But we're definitely on that journey. We've made a lot of really good progress. So yeah, so well done for the teams and a lot of work behind that. So
great. Okay, I'll jump in now. So just coming back to sort of a key data point that we've presented in the past around tickets and consults per resident per annum. If we remember in the past, we've done lots of modelling and detailed analysis by resident of all our TOMS ticket data. TOMS has had 700,000 tickets through it, so it's 900, well, almost 1 million. So we've got a lot of rich data around the care needs of an individual, and every time you sort of cut that data, it sort of spits out that on average a resident will need somewhere between 38 and 40 consults per annum. Now, some residents need 40, some need 50, some need 20, but on a total basis across a whole big population, it works out to be about 38 to 40. So pleasingly, we've sort of continued a lot of good work from last year, and you can see in that first graph there we're in and around that mark, but sometimes dipping a little bit below. So What's happening? Why are we sometimes a little bit below? And I'm sure everyone's eyes have darted down to the second graph already. And what's sort of jumping out is the preventative work. The preventative work's obviously probably the last bit of work we'll get to for a resident. Now, what is preventative work for everyone here? It can make up of CGAs from a GERI, a CMA by a GP, or a care plan by a GP. And for an individual resident, they can have up to about 11 of these consults in a year. Now, what are we doing across the population? We're doing about half of that. So we're doing about 5.5 of these types of consults for each of our residents. Again, some more, some less across an individual basis, but on average, we're doing about half of these preventative work. Now, so what, Aaron, why does that matter? Well, there's some good research around the importance of preventative care and how that leads to catching clinical issues, which leads to fewer hospitalizations. So it's super important work for our residents. And we're doing about half of it. And I think I saw Stu on the call. I don't want to extrapolate what happens if we do the other half, but as we know, we're already generating about 40% lower hospitalizations as a business already. And our preventative work, we're getting through about half of it. So obviously, we've got a great service, and I think there's a little bit more to go if you look at the findings from SAHMRI. So how do we do that? Okay, there's probably two streams to think about. There's a bigger piece of work around ClinOps to try and find a little bit of extra time at a consult and around level. That's really important. Acknowledge there's everyone's very busy at the moment, and that will sort of take a little bit of time to come in and save a bit of time, and Rob will talk about a few of those things coming up. But small numbers here make a big difference really quickly. They can make a really big difference really quickly. So just one extra preventative ticket around can take us from 5.6 to 7.1. That's just one ticket extra per round. It's not a crazy number. Now, obviously, you can't do that for every round, but if we can just challenge ourselves to find a way, if there is a way to get an extra preventative ticket onto a round, we can sort of eat into that gap pretty quickly and continue our good work in helping prevent hospitalizations.
Just question, Aaron, are these tickets live and available for the clinical team? So if they do have some time in the round, can they jump on to? Yeah,
obviously some homes and residents are doing more than 5.5, and some will be at the top and some are a bit lower. So it just depends at the home level what's going on a ticket basis.